Doo-doo-dee. It's Nandi!
Hello friends, another patch has just dropped and there is a lot to discuss. I never go over everything in the patch notes in these videos, but this is just to highlight the important stuff with my thoughts and analysis. It's quite a big and meaty patch, so please accept this code as an apology for the longer length. To begin, here's a broad overview of what you can expect over the coming months. Probably the highlight of the patch is the new campaign event, which pits the Adeptus Sororitas against the Death Guard in a Space Hulk style game mode. Continuing the Space Hulk tileset and theme, there is also a survival event that runs over Halloween. The protagonist is Baraqiel, and the rewards are for forecasts. There is one new character this patch. We get Tyrith Kyrus, Custodian Guard from the Warhammer Tithes TV series, who rounds out the Custodes faction as their 5th character. 4 new relics are added to the game, 3 are unique, and 1 is a shared relic. There's also a slew of character reworks and balancing this patch. The most notable are for Angrax, Moghan Ra, and Maladus. The Battle Pass this season features Lucian from the Blood Angels faction, and the following Battle Pass, starting on November 30th, features Calgar, which will be the first time we have had a legendary Battle Pass character. Snowprint are also doing a special event that runs alongside Calgar's Battle Pass, similar in structure to the Mythic event. In Guild War, we will see changes to Battlefield 5. Snowprint are also tweaking how Mythic items are equipped to characters. They've also changed a few guild raid maps and made some gameplay changes that impact Aun'Shi. The legendary release event for this month is Trajan. Beyond that, there's the usual slew of home screen events, blessed requisition events, and tournament arena. I was thinking about notable absences this month and I couldn't really think of anything. I suppose we don't have a new legendary release character yet, but we're probably not due one for another cycle or two. We'll start with the new Death Guard campaign event. The core characters here are Vindicta, Isabella, and Roswitha. You can use the Adeptus Sororitas and Black Templars characters against the Death Guard. To fit the Space Hulk theme, once you load into the campaign, you can't actually see what lays ahead of you. You have to clear each mission one at a time. The tileset has a cool new mechanic, the door mechanic. This plays homage to the original Space Hulk game. The idea is that when you step onto the marked yellow hex, it opens a door and more enemies lay ahead to greet you. You don't have to fully clear the current room to open the next, but you don't know what is waiting for you behind the next door, and it's a pretty cool and unique aspect to this game that we haven't seen before. As with most campaign events, Snowprint have introduced new units. The unit for this campaign event is the Nurgling, which is a fun little NPC. The Nurglings are interesting because they follow the swarm mechanic, but unlike the Ripper Swarm and Scarab Swarm, which have 5 parts to the swarm, these Nurglings only have 4 parts. That is, I think, a conscious decision given your starting trio, as it means Vindicta's ranged attack and Roswitha's active can one-shot them. Their daemons have a physical melee attack, no armor, deep strike, putrid explosion, and a cool passive ability called Mischief Makers. They apply a debuff that prevents healing and reviving, and also a chance to suppress. Since Isabella is a core character, it is worth reminding ourselves that her active resurrects rather than revives. The gameplay itself is pretty cool, and I think I'll end up picking this campaign event for the initial novelty. I talked about this during my last patch notes video, but it's worth reminding ourselves of it. Survival this patch is with Baraqiel and Loyalist Marines against the Genestealers and Tyranids. It gives forecast shards, but the protagonist is Baraqiel. This survival features a new mythic rarity cap, with 4 waves of increasingly difficult mythic enemies. I don't think many players will get to see that last wave this time around. If I've got my act together, I should be releasing a survival video and guide roughly around the same time as this patch notes video, so you can take a look at that on my channel for more details. The Adeptus Custodes complete their faction with the 5th character being Tyrith Kyrus, the Custodian Guard who featured heavily in the Warhammer Tithes episode. I have a showcase on her as well, and she will unlock as a rare unlock through the 2-week hero release event this patch. If you're here for a 15-second summary, Tyrith is a highly mobile character with a repeatable active ability, true to theme for the Custodes faction. Her passive is a ranged retaliation mechanic, but only triggers after she takes damage. There are a couple of reworks and balance changes that have happened this patch. The first is for Angrax, continuing the progress on the Black Legion faction and leaving Volk as the last character due for a rework here. Angrax has had his base damage stat increased, but no changes to his defensive stats. Thanks to Talon, Tacticus Ambassador, and Friend, these changes are visualized by radar chart with the new stats in red. It's nice, but let's be honest, the main use for this character has been his passive rather than his normal attack. that has also been tweaked as shown here. The damage has been reduced by a third, but now this does 2 hits rather than 1 when triggered. The ability no longer gains bonus damage when Angrax charges an enemy, and I think overall this should net more damage output from Angrax, especially if you're looking to buff him with Abaddon. His active has also had the damage thresholds increase slightly, and they are shown here on screen. Morgan Ra has also seen some changes as summarized here. His health and armor stats have both improved, and once more Tywin has helped to illustrate that here on this radar chart. Again, new stats are in red. His active ability has been renamed given that Mogatar is now his relic, and it's also been buffed. The active does roughly 25% more damage, and it does the same amount of damage to the secondary targets as well as the primary target. Malladus has also had some nice buffs. He has had an increase to his armor stat, but there's no real point in showing you a radar chart. That's because before all this, he was already among the highest armor stats in the game, and that was before Snowprint buffed him. At least here, you can see how the numbers compare in Mythic 1 Adamantine 1 before and after. His passive has also had a pretty huge buff, double the damage and a more generous pierce ratio with Toxic instead of Power. This might have implications for legendary release events if they ever decide to add Toxic as a damage type. Pestilent has also gone back to what he was a while ago. He loses the Explodes trait, and they've added the Putrid Explosion trait, which now does toxic damage. Abaddon's Relic has had a small damage increase, the before and after are shown here on screen. Finally, the Traitor Guardsmen from the Black Legion faction have lost their Lets the Galaxy Burn trait. It's very welcome, and it means that they can no longer apply Despoiled Ground, which was particularly troubling for legendary release events. Instead, these guardsmen have the Crazy Focus trait that gives them extra damage to enemies on hex effects. I've already mentioned that the Battle Pass will be for Lucian, followed by a legendary one for Calgar. On screen, I'm scrolling through the rewards for Calgar's Battle Pass, which have an extra 10 levels to account for the legendary rarity. Feel free to slow this section down if you want to take notes. It's the first Battle Pass that gives 500 shards, and there are some mythic rarity rewards at the very end of the rewards ladder. We also have a week-long celebration event for Calgar, which starts on December 1st. This is kind of similar to the Mythic Celebration event, where you get a rotating shop for each day, and you can choose the prizes that most interest you. You can collect oaths by doing things like completing missions and opening crates in Tournament Arena. As you can see with this tooltip, you get about 1,170 oath currency for free, and then another 370 from Purge Order and Tournament Arena. Assuming you can max them, that gives you around 1540. The chest rewards that I'm cycling through here just give you Calgar shards and gold. Like I did last time, I've created a Google Sheet for you to access, which hopefully helps to guide decision making around spending. I'll leave a link for this in the video description. It looks like each day you get a different featured character alongside Calgar. You get the same offerings of orbs, badges, books, and salvage daily. Then it's the stuff at the bottom of each shop that changes, the items and the crafted or unique upgrades. For most players, I think the orbs, experience books, and shards are the biggest bottlenecks, so I suspect most players will end up spending their currency here rather than looking for specific crafted upgrades. At time of recording, it looks like the exchange rate is 7 currency for either 5 normal shards or 1 mythic shard. If you decide to spend money on the paid offer, it looks like you can get around 1,000 extra currency based on the calculations here. I've also got a link to CPU Nerd's sheet, who is another creator who's gone into this in some more depth. The Guild War changes will only impact Battlefield 5, but it looks like we will get the first taste of Mythic in Guild War. The HQ and forts will now have 2 slots for Mythic rosters and 3 slots for Legendary rosters. I suspect this will be the start of more Mythic changes that come for this game mode. Snowprint are making a few changes to item binding. When Mythic was introduced, they stipulated that any Mythic items would effectively become soul-bound to that character unless it was replaced by a relic. Now you can unequip an item or relic, but it still remains bound to the character, so no one else can use it, but if you wanted to avoid putting down flames on the battlefield with Mephiston's Vitaris, you can do that. Another possible use is if you want your characters to take more damage, say for example because you want Carrion to get under 50% health to benefit from Dante, you can remove block items. The items remain in a sort of toggle mode in the equipment list. Mythic items can also now be unbound completely. You have to pay a pretty heavy cost for this. At time of recording, 100 Mythic salvage and 1 Mythic token. That's quite expensive, but if a character completely falls out of the meta, it might be cheaper to do that for their gear rather than build somebody else up from scratch. You cannot unbind relics. That will also mean that all characters with a unique and shared relic will be able to choose which one they use. There are 4 guild raid maps that have been changed this patch. If my reading of the map files is correct, then these are the ones that have changed, with the old map on the left and the new version on the right. This Magnus map, previously frustrating due to limited bridges and fire hex effects applied by enemies, has had even more bridges added, and the space at the bottom is smaller, so you should be able to place a single unit to prevent Magnus from flying there on later turns. There are 2 changes to the Mortarion maps. In this first map, Mortarion's start position has been changed as shown. In the second map, the hexes marked in red have been changed to low ground. The end result here is now you can always kill Corrodius and not have to worry about leaving the side boss alive on a sliver of health in order to bait Mortarion onto the low ground. The avatar map has also had some hexes changed to the high ground at the bottom of the map and has had some healing hexes moved. It makes the fight more interesting, but getting the avatar down to the bottom of the map so you can use the high ground might be tricky. Previously, Aun'Shi couldn't recharge active abilities that were already on cooldown. The most recent characters and examples were the Custodes characters like Carrion, who could use his active every 3 turns. Snowprint have now fixed that, which has implications for the raid meta. Now you can potentially use Carrion's active on turn 2, turn 5, and again on turn 6. Given that this active ability is the mainstay of damage for Carrion and his team, being able to use it 3 times over a battle is quite interesting. On screen here, you can see a replay with legendary 3 Ghazghkull with adamantine damage dealers and diamond 3 buffers, as well as a mythic 1 Biovore for bonus 10% damage. I'll let the replay run through here before drawing some comparisons for you. The replay ends at around 983,000 damage. On this slide here, Timmy, Tacticus guildmate and friend, has graphed that final damage number against previous performance. The current run is denoted by the green line, and you can see how that compares to the Alpha Legion and Iron Warriors raid scores. The plot shows that Aun'Shi is comparable to the current meta, but the top scores we managed are highlighted with this red circle, and quite a bit higher than this Aun'Shi run. There are a couple more relics introduced this patch. I've updated my slide from earlier so you can see which characters have a unique relic in red and which ones have a shared relic in white. We can go through each in turn. Probably the most exciting one is the Norn Crown, since it impacts a big raid character in the form of the Neurothrope. This increases the max Neuroparasite stacks by 1, which is nice, but it also turns the Neurothrope into a buffer within his team. He gives Psykers and Summons within Synapse range bonus damage when they attack a target with Neuroparasite. This obviously works for the Psyker team, and if there's enough interest, I can probably do a deep dive video on the Psyker team and how it looks now. The next unique is Mogatar for Moggan Ra. Provided he hasn't already moved, Moggan Ra can move after attacking, which is nice for getting the heavy weapon bonus and potentially high ground bonuses too. There's also some extra text here about crits, where Moggan Ra does even more damage and potentially scores extra hits. The final unique for this patch is for the new character, Tyrith. I go over it more in my showcase on her, but it gives her some free ranged damage at the start of her turn. The shared relic is also pretty good, the Daemon Flesh Plate. It is usable by some of the Chaos Terminators, Angrax, Toth, Maladus, and Rask. Every time the bearer attacks, it gains armor, and after a number of attacks, his active ability is reset. Abilities that target multiple targets count as multiple attacks, so in theory, if you had Rask attacking 6 units every turn through his active, then the relic would let Rask use his active every other turn. There is the usual slew of other stuff. There are 2 character quests this patch. Adamatar fights with Chaos allies against the Tau Empire on November 5th. The Neurothrope combines with Tyranids, Genestealers, and Ultramarines to fight against the Aeldari on November 26th. The legendary release event for this month is Trajan. It is the second run for this character. Check out my showcase guide if you want some insights and tips for success. There are 7 different Blessed Requisition banners this patch, each one giving you an opportunity to earn different characters. Remember that if you have pulled a character from a Blessed Requisition that is already Blue Star, you get Mythic Shards. I've showcased each banner here on these two slides, along with the dates that their events run, in case any interest you. There are 4 home screen events this patch. We get a training rush from November 4th to the 7th, where you get bonus experience from manually using your characters to fight in any game mode. We have the Warp Surge event from November 14th to 16th, where you gain points for defeating Chaos enemies. We have Against the Tide from November 23rd to 29th, where you gain points for each wave you beat in wave-based modes and earn energy and raid tickets. Finally, you have Purge Order, where you gain rewards for killing Tyranids, including oaths that you can spend in the Ultramar shop. There are some other things and bug fixes in the notes, and I would encourage you to check out the full patch notes. This was as quick of a summary as the important stuff as I could manage, and this video has gone on for long enough. Thanks as always to my Patreons for their support, and bye for now.